Humankind. Humankind. Do the children have to...
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time. And again, today will be a live show, so stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Why do the children have to fight? All of the politics we decide. Mama, I want off this ride. All they wanna do is divide. They want us to pick a side. All I want is a humankind.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a great show planned for you, so stick around. Before I get started, I do want to remind anyone that is new here that you can access every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we give you here over on our website. Now, when you go over there, it's very easy to navigate. You just go by thumbnail. Cyber could light the fuse, ominous future. Now, when you click on that, you will see that it brings you to a full bibliography of all of the information we are going to share here, including, again, all of the links and sources that we got this from. That way you know exactly where your information is coming from. Now, over on the right side, if you do feel like you want to get any of the affiliate products that we have here today, you can go so and do so over on the right side of the screen. All of those boxes are our links. Again, let's also remind you that there is overflow. Overflow is essentially once you hit that yellow web-only content bar, you will see that there is a whole other plethora of stories and different things, too hot for TV, that is going to be down there. So make sure to go check that out. A lot of people need to be utilizing that. All right, and then let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
Well, thank you, guys. We did have some technical difficulties, but nothing that couldn't be solved with an unplug and plug in again, as they always say. So let's get into it. We have scientists have crafted living skin for robots, further blurring the line between humans and machines. Now, actually, Dex, did we get the phone system up, or is that not going to be up today? I forget.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Everything's fine on my end.
All right, we did have some issues, but again, so I do want to remind you at this point, it is a live call-in show today, 2244006273, and you'll be pressing option 4 once you get to our phone tree to get Dex live. You can actually call in on any of these subjects, or if you have information that we should know, or if you have a video or a sighting or anything that you want to turn in, you can also get that ready by going over to marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo, and then it will end up on today's show. All right, but back to this. It says scientists have crafted living skin for robots, further blurring the line between human and machine. So we have covered almost every kind of step up in this technology and what is happening right now. And many people are scared about this because obviously if you know anything about what they are doing with AI and robots, you should be scared. And that's again, this is something that is going to change our future ultimately, and it's going to change everyone's lives. Not so much like, oh, I have a robot cleaning my house now. It's more like I have a robot doing my job and I am on a guaranteed income type of thing. Middle class and low and minimum wage, that will be gone in the future, or at least that's what they're predicting, which is pretty terrifying. So for the fact that they are actually trying to get skin for these robots is really gross, and I guess I don't get the point of it. Technologies are blurring the line between human and machine now. Scientists are taking the next step, developing human-like skin for robots. Though it sounds like the stuff of science fiction, in a study published Thursday in the journal Matter, researchers described how they developed skin tissue for robots that looks and moves just like ours. We have shown that living skin tissue can be used as a coating material for robots. That's right, they said living skin tissue. It says that Sho Takuchi, an engineer at the University of Tokyo and lead author of the study, told Insider, this result has the potential to make robots look more human-like. So is this purely aesthetic? Why would they want to do this? And what is the long term? Have they got a memo that we did not get? Why do robots need to look like humans? Doesn't make too much sense to me. Maybe it will make us feel more comfortable when they take our jobs. I don't know. It says, though, to craft the skin, the team first submerged the robotic finger in a cylinder filled with a solution of collagen and fibroblasts. It says that two main components that make up skin, the human body's largest organ. Using living cells also endows robots with the biological functions of skin, such as its ability to, get this, self-repair and repel water. And we thought Terminator was a movie. This is not a joke. This is the possibility of a robot not only with skin that looks like humans, but a robot with skin like humans that could get a cut and heal itself. What are humans doing? Let me know in the comments below if you have if this makes you feel some type of way. Give me a call at 224-400-MARF. This is absolutely horrifying in my opinion. And then, by the way, thank you, Kimbria. I appreciate you. Lisa K23, Thursday with Adam and Dex. That's awesome. Thank you. Vicky K. And again, Kimbria says, hi, guys. And All Night, Florida. Thank you so much for following. And then Princess Heine Pants. Nice name. Mateo, thank you. And Renegade Petey. $10. Princess Heine Pants is a man. Jem, thank you so much. And Sweet Rescue Nurse, thank you for joining and welcome to the Fugel fam. More than 22 million in the Southwest brace for dangerous heat. So, again, this is yet another warning and another telegraph of what is going to happen this summer. The scientists and different people that follow this, all of the, the weather experts are saying that there are a few things that are lining up this year to make it even worse than the last 3 years. Why this matters to us is if many of you are watching are in some of these areas that hit those super high temperatures. Here it hit 118 degrees, a world record. I think it was a record for the entire country or at least for the West Coast or something. We beat out Georgia and some of the hottest states in the world, hottest places in the world with our record last year. And they're saying it's going to get even worse. It says dangerous and potentially deadly heat will settle over the southwestern United States for this next several days, with temperatures in some locations expected to break records and exceed 110 degrees already. It says more than 22 million people in California, Nevada, and Arizona are under some sort of heat-related alert. Though at least part of the weekend, the National Weather Service said a heat wave is defined as a period of abnormally, uncomfortably hot and unusually humid weather that lasts for 2 or more days. It says, please protect yourself, the Weather Service office in Phoenix warned residents, while the office in Sacramento said that the heat would affect everyone, not just people sensitive to heat risk. Meteorologist San Diego advised residents to learn the signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. So, first of all, for the Fugel fam, we have people watching all over the world, really. But actually, I was pretty interesting. Most recently, I saw that we have a very kind of specific following in the West Coast, and then kind of the outlining states, and then a ton of people in Ohio. I don't know why. OHIO. But again, it's crazy how many people from how many different places actually watch this show. So I would highly recommend that you make sure to have fans. I told you 2 months ago, because that's when they started stocking the fans, to get your fans then, because as soon as these things hit, all of the fans will be gone. You will not be able to access any of them. If so, they'll be overpriced and they'll be crappy quality. Almost everybody has gone through this where they hit summer and they weren't expecting it, or their fans are broke and they go to buy a fan and almost everything is gone except for like the $5 clamp fans that don't work, or the stupid hand fans that, again, almost everybody buys every year knowing that they will not work. But unless you just sit there for 4 hours straight and change the batteries every 10 minutes. But again, this is something that will cause deaths this summer. So please be careful. We are warning you. We have followed this very closely from all different sources, not just a couple. I mean, we've literally followed this from probably 30 or 40 different sources. So it is going to be a hot summer, and it's already going to hit right about now. So make sure to be careful. Have yourself ready for it. If you don't have an air conditioner and you can afford to get one, then that might be the ticket. And then reports Twitter to provide Musk with raw daily tweet data. This came out around yesterday, or I want to say late the night before. This is pretty crazy stuff because it apparently they are giving into his request, and Twitter plans to offer Elon Musk access to its, quote, fire hose of raw data on hundreds of millions of daily tweets in an effort to push forward the Tesla billionaire's agreed to $44 billion acquisition of the social media platform, according to multiple new reports. Lawyers involved in the deal would not confirm the data sharing agreement. Musk made no comment on Twitter, although he has previously been vocal about various aspects of the deal. Twitter declined to confirm the reports and pointed to a Monday statement in which the company said it was continuing to cooperatively share information with Musk. Dex.
Hey, so this is kind of on one hand, it's kind of a big deal. And then on the other hand, it's almost impossible to deal with because the fire hose I don't know if my audio is messed up or not. I think it's better now. But the fire hose from Twitter is literally a feed of every tweet as it's happening in real time. That's why they call it the fire hose. It's huge. And I'm saying when I say it's huge from a developer standpoint, there's only been a few companies that have worked with Twitter in the past that actually have access to that fire hose. They have to pay lots of money to get access to it so that they can build products around it and such. It requires a massive amount of effort to handle all that data, parse through that data, and store that data. So it's not just like, oh, I'm going to give you a report, or oh, you're just going to have access to look at this thing. It's almost comical that's what that's their response to give him that, as opposed to answering the question about the bots, right? They're just saying, well, here, we'll just dump everything on you and you can figure it out.
So basically he won't be able to do this himself. He'll have to hire a huge team to go and filter through and try to figure this out himself. They're basically saying, oh, you want to find 10 needles? Well, we're going to give you a stack of 81 million needles to look through. Is that essentially how it is?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And not only that, it's probably like 81 billion needles. The truckloads are so big, you don't even know where to park them all. So it's a big deal. I've dealt with this in past technology and with other companies that I've seen, and I know what they've had to go through. So yeah, it's not something you just deal with overnight.
Imagine having access to just this. I would assume it's like a world in there, just tweets. I mean, if there was a digital representation like they have in the movies where they go in and all of the tweets are flying around and stuff, I could just see this being like an absurd world inside of Twitter world. Think about all the trolling you would see in an instant basis. And then the science behind why people see ghosts and demons. The science, again, this is... It says, does it take a specific type of brain to experience paranormal anomalies? Some scientists think so, but that can go two ways. On one hand, researchers specialize in parapsychology, the parapsychology study of paranormal, have spent decades studying whether and how these anomalies exist in nature outside of the human body and how some people might be more prone to experiencing them. More specifically, they want to know if some people have a unique, quote, abilities that allow them to see ghosts, spirits, and any other entities that might exist outside of the person experiencing it, i.e. not in their mind. It says, on the other hand, skeptical scholars from the field of neuroscience and cognitive psychology have been trying to show that it's more about how some people process reality subjectively. Okay. In their brain, some people might just be wired to produce these experiences in their mind, even though they may not be real. Kind of like where the kid sees the pile of clothes and sees the monster at night, right? It's all in their head. It says, well, you might assume that parapsychology revolves around ghostbusters, spoon-bending, and levitating magicians. That's not exactly the case. Parapsychology, also called PSI, is an academic branch of psychology studied in universities and research facilities across the globe. It says scientists from this field believe more academic, experimental, theoretical, and analytical research will show that the science knows about the nature of the universe is largely incomplete. It says there is more than enough data and research at this point to make a reliable claim that oddities to mainstream science do in fact occur. So they're essentially saying they're just like kind of like UFOs, that there is enough evidence to say that these things occur. Almost all of us have had experience. I have personally had many experiences as far as with what I believe are spirits or ghosts. I think they're more so like spirits or something there. I've also dealt with what I think is evil, demonic kind of energies. Have you? Give me a call at 224-400-MARF. Let me know what your experiences are. In fact, we should do at some point a whole show about sightings of ghosts and paranormal, spirits, angels, whatever it may be. So this is just further kind of, everyone has had experience, and if you haven't had experience, maybe this study would go into saying, kind of why. But again, this is, if you've had a creepy experience, let me know in the comments down below or give me a call at 224-400-MARF. Real quick, I do want to say thank you to Red Pilled. Charles, thank you so much. I appreciate your support today. And then a few people have already popped in. I appreciate you. Red Pill, we heard 3 large planes going over a house near Cape. Why does it cut that off? Over Cape Lookout heading east tonight. Unusual. And actually, that was on Edge. Charlie Ann, thank you for your support. I missed you. And then Crazy L, Stephen McMahon, and Gaia Watcher, thank you for the super chats. Over on the last show on Edge, thank you, Tammy Brown, for doing a super thanks, which is done on the replay. Check out my UFO story in the comment section of this show, posted 6/9/22, 8:03 a.m. Thanks, Adam Dex. Love your show. Tammy Brown, by the way, thank you for actually putting the time and the time you actually did the comment. That actually makes it extremely helpful. I don't know. Normally, anybody who doesn't have a channel wouldn't think of that. What is the coming Black Swan? Love you guys. Hope all is well. Bones and Tubs, thank you again. Again, I think you've done several of the super thanks, so thank you so much. All right, thank you guys. And then if you do want to call in, the number is 224-400-MARF. I'm going to be opening up the screener here and seeing, it looks like we already have our first caller. So Dex, I'm going to mute you, and while you get Joseph on the phone, I'm going to remind people that this show is actually brought to you by Energy. Now, again, when I say that, this entire show is actually backed up by an Energy Flex 1500. So if we lose power, we can keep going. The reason why you would want to go solar if you do want to get a generator is because it does not take gas. It can be charged via your wall or even your car as a huge battery bank that could actually supply you with, however much power you can get out of one battery. And then, of course, if you would like, you can actually purchase solar panels. And those solar panels can keep this thing going for years. Again, this is an amazing system because it is expandable. You do not have to throw it away if the battery or the base unit is outdated. You can actually just add and add and add. In fact, you can expand it up to 96 batteries. What's even better is you don't have to pay $6, $10, $11, $50 in the future for gas. You can just use solar panels and get it for free. Again, it's a great system once you have it already set up. It's a great deal. Again, marfugglenews.com/energy. And remember, that is absolutely silent, so nobody will hear you from blocks away running your generator. In fact, it is running right now. All right, and then Dex, let's get our first call on. It looks like we have Mr. Newhouse, and it looks like we have a video to play talking about the Varhos VR headset that we mentioned yesterday, which is pretty crazy stuff. All right, Joseph.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. So what's going on? So first of all, Joseph, because I did mention that too. There was a weird system that they set up, right? As far as what the name of the system was.
So right. Yeah. So this was this new VR interface, and I looked into the name because it was called Galia, which is, an interesting name, and that's the name of the interface. So I looked it up, and let's see here. If you click to 1 minute and 16 seconds, there's this picture, and this is I'll let you, if you have the video up.
Yes, we do. So what you said, 1 minute and 16 seconds?
Yeah, and that's the picture of this Galia, and basically that's all I got. But I think it's kind of strange that this is, for like a brain chip is what they're talking about, I think, in that article, and that it would be a Roman's helmet, and basically the definition is something shaped like a helmet, and then they're calling this the brain chip. And what's strange about it is just the role that Rome seems to play in like the Book of Revelation and stuff. And
it fell. Rome.
I kind of include
Rome fell and it collapsed. That's also kind of symbolic there.
Yeah, that's symbolic, yeah. So it was kind of short bit there, so I included a fun clip of me playing Poppy support ranked at the end. But I did send over a second video, and this one, again, just click through it, and right away, if you go to it, you'll see this tweet from Elon Musk, and he pinned this to his profile on the 27th of last month, saying, one Starlink can provide internet for an entire school of hundreds of students. And I don't know, I thought it was kind of strange that he would pin something like that, like oh, here's a solution to all your problems. And so I kind of included a little clip after that. But I get into this article about these salamanders. If you click to 44 seconds, you can see the article image. But it's basically these skydiving salamanders glide from the world's tallest trees, it says. And they're talking about this wandering salamander that lives in like the redwoods. And what's interesting is, I had been talking about that new Secrets of Dumbledore movie and how salamanders, like symbolically play a role, with the salamander like symbolically relating to fire. Like they're known, like the story is there was like burning logs and people would see salamanders coming out of them because they sleep in the logs or whatever. But I included this because they did these wind tunnels for the salamanders, and they said the salamanders were able to like control their pitch and yaw and all this. And so I kind of related it to, let's see here. If you click to 503, there's this picture, and this is in the Book of Job. This is called the Mazzaroth, commonly the zodiac with 36 associated things. But basically, I saw that video with you on Global Witnesses channel, and the one gentleman was talking about the 4 living creatures, and I personally related this to the Book of Revelation with these 4 points relating to 4 elements. And the interesting thing is that these salamanders, in this article, they're saying not only does this amphibious salamander relate to, fire, assumably, but it also the air now. And so I thought that was kind of interesting with those 4 points on that Mazzaroth. And then, so I kind of related it to this old game that, I don't know, you might even have seen it on, let me know if you've seen this on Windows 98. It was called Genome. It was this weird game.
I kind of remember playing it's a robot game with kind of robot jocks type things.
Yeah, the mechs. Yeah. So if you click to let's see, 507, you can probably just mute it and play it for a few seconds. I flashed the 4 different groups because remember there's these 4 different groups, and it just seemed like could be symbolic. I mean, you don't have to play it, but of also the same thing, those 4 points. But of course, this would just be like some kind of symbolic reference. But yeah, I thought, don't you think that's strange about the Roman? Because they were talking about the June 6th date and all this, and how that there's theories that relates to a Roman person, but yeah, I probably don't have time to get into it.
So again, well, the fact that they named the brain interface VR headset chip after the kind of this Galea Roman helmet, it kind of said, it's like, who is this intended for? Well, first off, it's going to be solely produced in the U.S., so you're about to have a bunch of Americans wearing Roman helmets. That will be the downfall of us all. Essentially, that's what I pull from it. But if you in the audience see some different symbology for that, let me know. Joseph, we have linked, of course, as always, all of your videos over on the website under caller info. I do think it's interesting, and great job on producing the video so fast. Thank you for also letting us know via comments and stuff when you do produce new videos. If you guys have not gone over and seen Joseph Newhouse's video, he does all sorts of cool, I guess he mostly focuses on symbology and different things, or symbolism of different things that are happening in the world, and he really does a great job of putting things together. Well, thank you, Joseph, for calling, and I appreciate you, and as always, again, thank you so much.
Thanks again, Adam, and have a good night.
All right, you have a wonderful night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. If you would like to be the next caller, 224-400-MARF. Turkey threatens U.S. allies and partners as UKR conflict gives Erdogan leverage. It says that Turkey may soon launch a new military operation against forces that have partnered with the U.S. to dismantle the IS state group in Syria. It said that despite protests from American officials, we are completely unstinting in our efforts with the government to back them off of this ill-considered venture. That was, of course, State Department Assistant Secretary Barbara Leah. It said that, told the Senate Foreign Relations, I couldn't give you the assurance that they are going to. A cross-border assault would upend the U.S. approach to suppressing IS and perhaps even drive the most important American partner in the country into an alliance with President Bashar. In that, again, American leaders fear. Yet President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who regards the fighters as allies of the Kurdish separatist group that fought the Turkish central government for decades, seems keen to press disputes with the U.S. and other NATO members at a moment when the conflict in UKR has demonstrated Erdogan's clout within the transatlantic alliance, as evidenced by his Wednesday accusation that the U.S. and Greece have established military bases targeting them. So obviously, and yet another hot point and another country that may end up being a bigger part in things than we think. You have to follow some of the smaller leads to find out kind of the bigger picture. It says 9 American bases, this is a quote, where have those bases been established? In Greece, Erdogan told reporters per Turkish public broadcaster's interpreter. And against whom? They answer, against Vlad? No, but we will not buy into that. Sorry, but no. So one thing to point out, too, is that during all of this, we have actually established bases during the entire thing with Vlad that all over the place we are putting new troops, and that's more evidence of public evidence that there are troops in way more places than people think, or at least way more places than people know. So again, we'll follow it as it goes along. And then Hezbollah leader threatens to hit ISIS offshore gas rig. Now, if they do hit this thing, that's obviously going to be a hit to what? Well, to gas, right? The leader of militant Hezbollah group threatened Thursday to strike a gas rig that is setting up in the Mediterranean Sea, and that Lebanon claims is in disputed maritime area between the two countries. Says the location is part of its UN-recognized exclusive economic zone. But Hassan Nasrallah, a staunch ally, announced in a television address that he described as Israel provocations in the maritime area. His speech followed a warning by Lebanese President Michael Aoun last Sunday, who said that the maritime border negotiations between the two countries have not ended, adding that any more such as drilling in the Karish field that calls disputed, will be considered a provocation and a hostile act. Remember, that whole area got hit by a very extraordinary as far as Beirut, got hit by an extraordinary explosion just a couple years ago. And there are still mysteries shrouding that event, such as the fact that a couple days later, the U.S. announced that all of our nation-state enemies have established weapons in space, including directed energy, which they confirmed in that same press conference. Just happened to do that just a couple days after that event. So why do we pay attention to this? Well, because it is another hot point. We are not, looking over anything in the Middle East because it is a flashpoint. Again, there are many flashpoints around the world that could trigger things. As analysts that look at the current events from a prepper's standpoint, I think that people should be paying attention to this. Again, what do you think, though? Let me know if we're wrong. Tell me in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your opinion. And then if you do want to call in on this or any other subject, 2244-00-MARF. By the way, thank you guys. I appreciate that. Thanks for everybody that's popping in. Again, we've got so many people that have just popped in. Thank you so much for everybody that is rolling into the chat. And Luna C. Prepper, thank you so much for your massive support. I appreciate that. Irish Rebel, many, many thanks. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. You've been probably the top supporter the last week, so thank you so much. Kara McLean, thank you so much. Zen1AZ, thank you for the super sticker. Very cute fox there. And then, again, Red Pill, thank you for being the last one out. All right, and we're going to be heading over to the Britons sentenced to perish after a show trial in Vladian-occupied UKR. It says that pro-Vladian officials have sentenced to unalive 2 British men and a Moroccan national captured while fighting in the UKR army in Marfoogle. That is, of course, what Vladian state media has said. So that is not coming from UKR intelligence. That's actually coming from Vlad themselves. It says a court in Vlad-controlled East Ukraine convicted Aidan Eslin and Sean Pinner after days-long process that observers called a, quote, show trial on team-and-up charges meant to imitate war crimes trials against Vladian soldiers in Aslin, 28 from Newark, and Pinner, 48 from Watford, were convicted by the court in a Vlad-controlled territory, Donetsk, alongside Sadun Bahim on charges of or ism. It says both Britons have said that they were serving in the UKR Marines, making them active duty soldiers who should be protected by the Geneva Conventions on prisoners of conflict. However, the Vlad state media has portrayed the men as mercenaries, and the court has convicted them on charge of being a mercenary, which, again, I don't know how recent that was. I want to say it was 2017 or something that they set a new some sort of new law that said that that was a punishable by unaliving, but this is something that is big enough that if it went south, this would not be good news for anybody. Of course, if they do take these men out and unalive them, there could be consequences to that, but we don't know. You would think that, of course, they would be fighting to get their men back and say, hey, you can't do that, or at least give them some sort of secondary trial or able to appeal or whatever. So we'll see. We'll follow this case and see what happens. And if they do get unalived, that could actually be an extremely hot fire point. All right, and then we're going to be heading back over to the phones here in just 2 seconds. It looks like Dex is going to be getting Crazy Granny on. There's a line open behind Crazy Granny. Crazy Granny is a first-time caller and wants to talk about a movie that actually may have had a scene that I want to say this is about predictive programming. Calling from Arkansas, Crazy Granny. Well, you get Crazy Granny on. I do want to remind people, if you have not already, make sure to go over and check out EMP Shield. If you have not protected yourself against EMP and CMEs and you want to know how, then make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is the same device, the same company, in fact, that has worked with agencies like DHS, DOD, and now the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid, and now even partnered with Ted Nugent. Again, it can actually protect against all 3 phases of an EMP. It is Keystone military tested and military used. Again, this is an amazing product. It can actually protect anything from your car, which is the most popular version, to your house, of course, your RVs, your motorcycles, your boats, even your ham radio. They also make an EMP shield specifically for the Energy solar generator. So if you do get one of the Energy solar generators, you can actually have it protected by an EMP shield on the input and the output of the machine. That way you are completely protected on your backup system. This is, again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. The greatest part is you get $50 off per device, and that stacks on top of any sale they are currently running. So whenever they run sales, remember, you actually get that $50 additional to that. So make sure to head over there as soon as possible. It can also protect your home or your car or any other item from lightning, and it will protect against a CME. A CME, the natural kind, a Carrington level event, will happen again. It is something that is a when and not an if. It will happen. It's just a matter of time, and I guess it's whether you want to gamble or not having it or not. Same company has also helped and been called up to help harden the entire U.S. grid, but we are way behind. There's a couple counties right now that are fully protected, but that's in the entire United States. So I would just recommend that you know that they are not coming to save you whatsoever. If it really does hit the fan, you're going to have to protect yourself and get yourself to wherever you need to be. All right, and then let's get Crazy Granny on the phone. Crazy, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Well, hello. I enjoy your show.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm from Arkansas. And I just got something to throw at you and see what people think. Do you remember the movie called WALL-E?
Yes.
WALLE?
Oh, yes. I've watched it many
It
times.
was a children's. Okay. I went to see this with my grandkids, and my son-in-law was driving. Well, he fell asleep in the show, so he couldn't answer me. The kids sat there and enjoyed it. I was watching to see, okay, when is it going to start? Because to me, this is like a cockroach in a dump truck. Just no talking, no music, no nothing, just doing their little thing. And at the very, very end of the movie, they show outer space. They show, if you looked at the satellite or the Seattle, the needle that goes up in the air and it's got that round thing on it, that's exactly what it was like. It had this great big pole. You could tell you were in outer space. Everybody was fat, and they were sitting in a swimming pool with one of those drinks that have the umbrellas and all that kind of stuff. And then on the outside of it, they were all almost like hotel rooms, except that they went to wherever you lived. So that's like where you lived, and that's what you did. It was the worst movie I've ever wasted money on.
I actually thought it was pretty cute. I had to watch it with my kids several times, and when you watch a movie that many times, you catch all the little subtleties. But I know exactly what you're talking about. If people have not seen it, I would say, again, if you don't have kids, it's probably going to be kind of boring. But I know what you're talking about.
Music's not bad.
There's a lot of weird things in Hollywood, especially in children's movies. To say the least.
Yep. No, I've had many miracles happen in my life, and it's like now we're getting into some really close stuff. And I to my kids all the time, I'll just think back to Wally. That might be where we're headed. And I mean, it wouldn't be too bad to just sit around and have somebody bring you a drink with an umbrella, and then you go back to your room and do whatever you want to do.
Yep, exactly. Well, Crazy Granny, before you go, I have one question. Have you ever had a paranormal experience as far as seeing a ghost or a spirit or a demon?
Well, I can say I've had rose petals appear in my house twice, seen by the same witnesses. I have seen a UFO in Sedona, Arizona. I have seen the white buffalo out in Minnesota, or Wisconsin, rather. That was miraculous. And I have a daughter that I adopted out when I was 17. And through a really crazy, crazy way, we got back in touch with each other, and we're talking, and just like we were living down the street from each other. So, yeah, I'd say I had quite a few.
Well, that is amazing, and thank you, Crazy Granny, for sharing. And again, thank you for calling. It's your first time call. I hope it's not your last. Crazy Granny, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You have a wonderful night, and God bless the family and all the listeners too.
Well, thank you so much. Dagan says, how does an EMP shield protect you from a regular blackout? Well, in a regular blackout, as far as, well, it wouldn't. As far as if the grid goes down, if you just have a storm where your power goes out, you aren't, that's not under an attack. What the EMP shield is specifically for is for if we have the most probable scenario as far as how they think that we will be attacked in the USA and UK and Australia would be an EMP attack. That would be an electromagnetic pulse that was blown up over the middle of the country and knock out our grid. During a regular blackout, that would be more like, having something like a solar generator, energy, or having a gas-powered generator and having the ability to back up your power. Basically, the EMP shield is to protect against any kind of external attack. So I don't know if that answers your question, but again, we do believe it will save lives at some point. I hope it never happens again, but from a prepper standpoint, you can prevent it. If something can be prevented, then I think that, there should be way more done to prevent bad things than to fix them after they're broken, including with health things. I've learned that over my life. There were so many things I could have done that were natural that could have stopped all of the health problems that I have and could have extended my life, 30 years. So, again, I just really wish I knew a lot of that. So, but with EMP, yeah, definitely something that at least you can protect yourself. You can protect your gear, your house, your stuff. So then if you have your generator backed up, all of that stuff works afterwards. But by the way, I think it will protect against regular surges. I talked about this with Dex. Dex lives in Georgia where there's lightning all the time. And Dex has actually had situations where before he got the EMP shield wired into his house, he had to buy these surge protector things, and they were popping, and he had to keep buying more and more and more because they just kept popping every time they had some sort of lightning event. So yeah, it does protect you from normal like lightning storms and things as well. So that's a pretty cool way to protect yourself as well. All right, and then U.S. cracks down on 3 American firms sending defense tech to Xi. It said the U.S. cracked down on 3 American firms for exporting military defense and other technology to Xi on Thursday, today. It says the U.S. Commerce Department says that the 3 companies, Quicksilver Manufacturing, Inc., Rapid Cut, LLC, and U.S. Prototype, Inc., received blueprints for satellite, rocket, and defense prototypes from U.S. companies, but then sent those blueprints to Xi companies for 3D printing. Reuters reported on Thursday. It says outsourcing 3D printing of space and defense prototypes to Xi harms U.S. national security. How stupid are they? Stevie G says, hang 'em high. Well, I don't know if you're talking about this, but kind of appropriate at this point. What in the hell are they doing? This is what I was telling you, though. This is more proof of exactly what I was telling you guys. These are some of the high-tech, super advanced companies, and guess what they're doing? They're sending the manufacturing for things that are going to space over to Xi. How many times have I told you guys this? People think, and this goes into the whole thought that Xi is so behind in it, oh, well, if we do fight them, everything that they have is made there, so it will just all fall apart. That's not true, and it hasn't been true for decades, because guess what? When we stopped sending the simple stuff there, we started sending the more advanced things like this to be made there. And we gave them the ability. We paid for them to open up factories and start manufacturing high-tech advanced things in Xi's country. Why are people so dumb? We gave them the power to take us back over. It's stupid. Now they control tons, swaths of media, of Hollywood, of newspapers and media. They have so much money coming in from all over the world. Look at the actual data on how many countries are doing more trade with Xi than they are with the U.S. We handed this to them on the platter. And this is just a perfect example of that. They're sending advanced stuff there. Why? Because they have the ability to manufacture advanced, high quality, incredible design things. We're not fighting the Xi. I mean, like, this is insane. We're not fighting the Xi of 1979. And then we have Xi intercepts Aussie jet in the most dangerous and aggressive stunt in over a decade. It says that a Xi fighter jet and Australian multi-mission patrol aircraft were involved in a dangerous mid-air incident over the South Xi Sea late last month. During an event, Xi plane released anti-radar chaff in front of the Australian plane, potentially disastrous situation that could have resulted in the loss of an aircraft and 9-person crew. The action is just one of many that the Xi military has undertaken against foreign aircraft and marks the most dangerous and aggressive such attack in more than a decade. It says the incident took place on May 26th, as an Australian defense magazine first reported. The PLA Navy F-16 fighter jet intercepted a Royal Australian Air Force P-8 Poseidon flying from Clark Air Base in the Philippines over the South Sea. Australian Defense Minister Richard Marles later stated that on TV that the J-16 flew alongside the P-8 and released flares. It then accelerated and cut across the front of the largest, slower-moving, less maneuverable P-8 and flew in front of it at a very close distance. The J-16 then released chaff, some of which were ingested into the engine of the P-8 aircraft. So they released the stuff that they put out to I believe, Dex, the chaff is what they release when a heat-seeking missile is headed towards them, right? And that's
right. It's a decoy, yeah, for that, and they're basically flares, but obviously not a good thing for an engine to ingest, and obviously it's not a normal thing to do in front of another jet like that, especially one that's not engaging you in a dogfight, so to speak, right?
Yeah, that's well, and this could have ended really badly if there was an accident or that chaff somehow went into the engine or parts of it, or if there was some sort of damage done and then that plane crashed, Or if something happened, or if it accidentally hit, this could be, an event that could start off a WW3. So pretty crazy that this kind of stuff is happening. Why was the P8 out there in the first place? Again, it doesn't say the exact reason. And then we have Vlad unexpectedly poor at cyber conflict, says European military heads. So, in fact, Dex, I would like you to chime in on this. I know that you're going to be getting the caller ready here in a second. But if you would like to chime in on this, I would like to get your opinion about what you think this is, if it's Ganda or if it's just rhetoric.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind is when this whole incident started, or this whole conflict started back in February, is there was a whole lot of threats around cyber, right? And we didn't really see them. It was sort of like we were expecting, and we had all these warnings, and we reported them too, because they were coming from our intelligence community, saying that, be prepared as this happens. We expect to see it both in UKR, but in other places in retaliation, and we saw, a couple of little things, but nothing serious. And in fact, we actually saw more cyber, excuse me. We actually saw more cyber events towards them from actors that we can't necessarily confirm are sanctioned by and one of the NATO allies, but Anonymous being one, and some other groups out there that did lots of things to them. So it's kind of interesting because I on one hand, you can sort of look at this and say, well, we didn't really get the effects from Vlad and his cyber team that we were expecting, and so that maybe there is some truth to it.
Well, again, somebody made a comment, says that there was all this stuff about illusion and about working with them and all of this, and now all of a sudden they're incompetent. I think it's kind of way above super level right now on how much they are making Vlad look like he doesn't know what he's doing. Now, I'm sure this makes people feel better. I'm not, anybody says anything non-negative about Vlad, it's all you're carrying is water or something. What I will say is you never underestimate your enemy. Like I've said about G and about others, look at what's happening right now. They are basically telling people that he's just a complete screw up and their whole military is in a mess and all of this. They train just as hard as the U.S. They drill just as hard as the U.S. They have some of the toughest soldiers in the world. We know this. We have done conflict games with them. We know that they have a formidable force. So they're not using that. They're pulling in conscripts off the street and putting them as fodder. I do believe that part, because they are using conscripts for the front line. That much they have admitted. So it's like they're sending out their 1900s rifles out. That was also confirmed. So it's like you can tell they're saving their best for last. I just hope we don't see last. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, or give us a call at 224-400-MARF. Speaking of calling in, it says, Trinity, hello, I covered topics on CERN, Rome, 33rd latitude line with Neom and Hadrian Collider, I believe, and the Third Empire, like Hadron, Third Run, and Tesla, 3 energy and magnets used by CERN affecting dark matter, and would like to call in about the shift. If you're calling in about pole shift, yeah, that would be excellent. Stephen McMahon, in the second conflict, Prescott Bush, the grandpa of Cowboy George, was fined for trading openly with Germany. He got mad when Alice Hoover gigged him. That's, the family lines go back. It's insane how much history the George and his dad and their whole family, even if you look at people like Ulysses S. Grant. I actually knew a kid in high school that was his great-great-grandpa, and their whole family had just all of these skeletons in their closet. They were directly related to Ulysses S. Grant. And then, Dex, let's see here. Before we go over, I don't know if you ended up, let's see. Back from Oz. Can we try to fit in Trinity and somehow get her on right behind Beck from Oz?
Yeah, we can try.
Okay, and then we have Beck from Oz on the phone. While you get Beck from Oz on the phone, Trinity, if you want to get in, then we'll fit you in here. And then again, before we go over and talk about Vlad says West risks direct military clash over cyber attacks, which is, again, it's kind of funny considering what we've covered now. I do want to remind you, if you do not have any long-term survival food of actual MREs that are sealed and ready to store for years, we have a solution for you and a place to go. This is through My Patriot Supply, and they have an excellent supply and selection of almost everything. They are big enough that they were able to survive through the CV time and the high demand. Most people in the Fugel fam are saying that their companies that they were going through or their local companies or their middlemen, they're all out. Everybody is out right now. And again, that is a trend that is only going up. A lot of these companies are finding it harder and harder to get all of the freeze-dried foods that actually go in them. So again, this is a bigger company, so it has still been rocking it. But again, make sure that you go over and check this out before there's a problem instead of after. Remember, you're not going to have fast delivery or anything like that after SHTF happens, or if it happens. Here you can get short and long-term survival food. You can get, a certain amount of time if you just want to have a 3-day kit or a month kit or a 3-month kit. They have all of that, and they're all based on meals averaging 2,000 calories per day. Again, it's good for disasters. It's good for regional things like just, storms and things like that. But it's also good for, of course, if everything hits the fan. You can also get an Alexia Pure Pro there, which is a professional gravity-fed water filtration system that can reduce up to 99.9% of contaminants, including fluoride, chlorine, bacteria, pesticides, and pharmaceuticals, and anything else that's in there. So make sure to go over there, marfooglenews.com/prep. You can save money on the 3-month kit. Right now, they still have the $150 off on the 3-month kit. All right, Dex, it looks like we have Beck from Oz from Australia.
Hey.
Beck from
Hi,
Oz.
Mark. How are you going?
Hey, you were live. Welcome.
Hey, how are you, mate? All the way from over here in freezing cold Australia. So thought I would give you a call, not relating to what you guys were talking about, which that just blew me away what you guys were just saying. I hope I don't bore people, but you did say before to ring in if somebody had a literal supernatural experience.
No, go ahead.
People to ring in. So
let's hear it.
Yeah, so I thought I'd share something that happened with everybody, and it's a stern warning, really, because it is a very true story. My husband and I mucked around with a Ouija board before we had our family, and it's the same old story that you hear over and over, that people do this and then something happens, but it did. And we did contact something that night on the board that the glass spelled out the name Martin. That's all we knew, and we went, whoa, this is weird, because we both knew that the other wasn't doing it. And we did stop. It was a couple of weeks later, we were about 1,000 miles from where that happened. And an instance happened in a house where my husband had the exact same vision of what I had. We were sleeping in bed together in a room in this old house. And I was woken to fear, just the most fear I've never experienced in my life. And I instantly sat up. It was pitch black. And I swung my legs around onto the side of the bed to, I don't know, hightail it. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I was absolutely terrified. And I was just not like that. Never happened. And I stood up, and then I could see just a light, and there was a window, and there was 2 sills, a very, very old house. For some reason, it had 2 sills, one down halfway down, one at my arm level, one at kind of my hip level. And I'm standing there, and I heard my husband starting to grunt because he was having a vision at the same time that I'd shot through a cave. That's a long story, but it correlated what happened. I looked out the window and I went, I'm so scared I'm going to jump out this window. Now, I was totally awake when this happened, no doubt, because what happened next. I went to open the window, and a force beyond anything I felt pushed me into that wall. Now, what I wanted to warn the people about is that people think, oh, it's funny and spirits can't hurt you and stuff, like physically. They can. They can. And then we got out of that room as soon as that happened. I didn't go back into that room. It was also Christmas Eve. How's that? It was also Christmas Eve, which topped it off, looking at what I know now about the occult side of, let's call it religion. And then it was like the next day, my mother-in-law was standing not far from that door, but I was out by the kitchen, and she was leaning with her fingers in the door, just talking, no wind, beautiful sunny day. And the door, she just moved her fingers. It must have been an angel. I don't know. But her fingers nearly would have been chopped. And big, heavy old doors in old houses. So I did want to just warn people that these things are real. And it's when something so childish as playing with a Ouija board, we did not expect to conjure up or open the spiritual portal for these things to come in. And I do believe that because I didn't know about things back then, I didn't know anything about the creative of the world. I knew nothing. And so I just thought it was bad spirits. But I tell you, they're the same as aliens. And in my opinion, that is what the agenda being pushed about the aliens is, because they are the same thing. And they are real, and they can manifest in a way that I couldn't see it, but it could physically violate me.
So
and move me into that wall so bad. The bruises were so bad on my arm and my hip. They were there for weeks.
So I just want to
point...
The
whole family believed us because they saw it. Yeah.
Well, I want to point out my mother always told me when I was a kid, she said, never mess with it. One of my sisters messed with it one night with her friends in high school, and she was not the one. She even told people not to do that. At the same night, they did this like thing where it was like thin as a board, light as a feather or something, and they lift their friend up. And they were doing that stuff, and they had a very similar experience where my sister was basically toppled down a couple stairs and felt like somebody pushed her. She turned around and there was nobody there. Somebody said that spirits can't hurt you, but demons can. Ouija boards, even though they are sold in like the game aisle, if you did not know and you didn't have a mother like mine, don't even mess around with them. Don't play with them. It's not a joke. It opens up, and I'm not afraid to say this, it opens up doorways to things. And if you don't believe in spirits, okay, go ahead. You're gonna end up hurting yourself or bringing a really demonic entity around you. Even the skeptics won't touch these things because of all of the stories revolving around this. Never mess with this, even if you were like, oh, I want to have an experience. No, you do not. Not this kind. Ouija boards are evil, and they are not to be messed with. But I'm sure you know, a lot of people don't know that. They'll mess with it, and they get the results of it.
All right. And the other thing that goes hand in hand with this is, I'll be very careful, is
can you?
drugs,
I don't,
psychedelic drugs.
Can you? I don't know if you're covering the mic.
Sorry?
Can you try to speak clearly into the mic?
Sure. I'll just move away from back to where I was. How's that?
Okay, that sounds better.
Is that okay? Okay, sorry about that. There's two things that go hand in hand with this, with these beings, these bad things, and that's also drugs. So Dex and I were having a quick chat before the show, and they're making some mushrooms legal, he was saying, in the States. So it's the first I've heard of it, and I was absolutely astonished. It just shows that they are trying to collapse society from the inside. Like, if we can make the people as dysfunctional as possible, well, then that's all we have to do. Then society can't sustain itself, and they're going to need a saviour. But on the other side, the pharmacia, the only other time I had a really demonic experience that was real was under the influence of LSD when I was young. And they're definitely real, and that one hung around for a very long time, that they will stay with you. If you do not know how to get rid of these things, I'm just so glad that I found the way, because otherwise I would never have been free of it. So it's just a warning, and just to publicly declare that I do believe the Son of God came to save us. I really do. And I think it is our only way, and with all the craziness that's going on, I have not been able to find anywhere else to get help.
Well, back from OZ, I'm putting your channel up, by the way. She is a YouTube creator. If you want to go see her content, you can do so. She's calling all the way from Australia.
Thanks, mate.
So I appreciate you watching, and I'm so glad you found me. I understand that. Actually, we have quite a big following in Australia. And I appreciate...
I followed you from the start.
Well, now I'm a follower of you. Back from OZ, I just
thank you.
I just subscribed, and
awesome.
Let's send the Foogle fam over. Everybody head over and subscribe to Beck from OZ. Make sure to send your love and say you came from Marfoogle and Marfoogle sent you. And I hope you hit some more milestones very soon.
Thanks, mate. I'm flying here. I'm getting stronger, not weaker. And I just suggest everybody, yes, do what you need to do. Prep, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to search for courage through all this. So my best advice is to, unfortunately, we know that there's been changes in the Holy Word, but it's the only remnant we have of any truth now in this world. And as I said, I really had a physical demonic experience. So I guess that's why I was called. I was chosen, but I believe the chosen are only those who answer the call that every single human being gets. So just to say thank you so much from this side of the realm, let's call it. And I love you all. Thank you so much if you come over. I'm just a simple little channel. I had all these big live streams on and used to do those, but I tell you guys what's happening here and try to point people and give them some strength and courage and some hope, because there is. But it can only come from within. It's got to start from within us first. So thanks, Mark. I love you, mate. I've been following you the whole way. I love you.
All right. Well, now I get a chance to love you back. So thank you so much. And back from OZ, make sure to go over and head over to the website. You can go to marfooglenews.com and find her channel link. Or you can, of course, just type in Beck from OZ. Again, I think that would be worth a show. I think that it would also warn people, for those that are skeptics about the Ouija boards, everyone I've ever talked to that's ever dealt with some, including, I remember one of the first scary stories was my friend Brandon, who is Cuban, and his mother had all sorts of things that I would not, I don't even know what religion they went under. It was more of a Cuban, I don't know. They did sage and different things, and I remember, not knowing about what kind of the things around, and they said that there was an evil demonic presence that me and Brandon saw one night, which was, it looked like a 15-foot black shadow putting its hands on the roof of a house across the street. And this, we visited one of his friends' houses, and they used the Ouija board. I did not. And there was a ex-Microsoft executive, and Brandon was 17, and he was responsible. He was like one of the first ones that had a job, and they let him house sit this mansion. So he ended up having me over. We used all, their workout room. Back in the days when they had Napster, do you remember Napster? They had high-speed internet, which was like, you could download a song in like an hour, which was like 5 megabytes. But in this house, him and his 2 other cousins that came over used the Ouija board, And that night, we had little kids' footprints. We all used the hot tub, and afterwards we went inside. We came back out, and there was little footprints this big. We had no children, and we heard laughing, and I just was so creeped out after that. And it was like their whole family had something following them. Also, in that house, the Microsoft executive put all of his money into something and essentially went bankrupt during the 2001 bubble or the 2008 or something, and totally wiped out everything, and he took his own life in that house. I didn't know any of this when I went to go spend the night. So there's things out there, even for the most hardcore skeptics, stay away from it. You don't want it. I know there's people that don't believe in it, and I guess you just got to talk to somebody who you trust who has used it to warn them. But I think if we did calls, we could get tons of calls of people that had just really scary experiences. By the way, on DLive, thank you, Peepaw's Dad. Tell it, Marf, what's going on? Hey, thank you, Ricky DK. Thank you, Ricky Dicky. I think that's how you say it, Ricky Dicky. Princess Heiny Pants, Karen from Columbus. Thank you, everybody, for your support over there. Chef Lee, Mateo, Stacy Bomba. Again, thank you, Sweet Rescue Nurse. I appreciate that. And then Be Real Beast. I've done some dumb stuff in life. Would never touch that board. God bless. Good. Jay Castro, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. As always, if you subscribe during the show, you will get a live shout out. Thank you so much. Stephen McMahon says, remember how recently they said Vlad had supersonic boofery? They will lure us into this conflict. I know, it's like they have the most advanced stuff in the world, but they're bumbling idiots. Zenwen AZ and Guy Hinton. Dex, you wanted to chime in? Oops.
It's not. Oh.
Hold on. We're gonna fix that after today.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I had a similar experience. I didn't actually use the board either, but my friends in high school did, and the chaos that happened around them and in that location for a time period after was insane, and it was pretty intense. So yeah, that stuff's not anything you want to mess with. I can attest to it myself.
A lot of people can, and that's what's funny. If you get 1,000 people in a room, or almost 4,000. There's people here that have done it, and I don't like when people go, you used it, then you're... People make mistakes, especially most people do the Ouija board thing when they're a teenager. Luckily, when I was a tiny kid, my sister was older. She was in high school, and she did do it, and that's when my mom went on a tirade. She said, absolutely not. She ripped the thing in half. She threw it away. She burnt it. Like, that's how serious my mom was. And that sounds crazy.
My mom was the same way, Adam. She did this. I didn't use it, but she had ingrained in my head how bad it was. So when I found out that it was there and they were doing it, I'm like, I'm not touching this thing. I'm going away. Because that was the one thing of all the advice. Usually I would rebel and do everything she said, and not do the opposite of what she said to do. But that was the one thing I just never did.
Not the Ouija board. And people think, oh, it's just the other person moving it. It's if you've ever watched people use it and you see everyone realize that they're not moving it, that is the creepiest thing in the world. You always think that there's one pranker that's spelling it out. Probably is at some point, but if it works, then it's not a good thing. All right, and then were you able to get Trinity?
Yes.
Okay, well, so first I'll just cover this real quick. Vlad says West risks direct military clash over cyber events. It says that Vlad warned on West on Thursday, that cyber attacks against its infrastructure risked leading direct military confrontation, and that attempts to challenge Moscow in the cyber sphere would be met with targeted countermeasures. The warning comes after Vlad's housing ministry website appeared to be hacked over the weekend, with an internet search for the site leading to glory to UKR. Yeah, to their enemy there. And it says sign in, and it was, of course, in UKREN. It says in a statement, the foreign ministry said that the Vlad's critical infrastructure and state institutions were being hit by cyber attacks and pointed to figures in the United States and UKR as being responsible. It said, that sounds like a prank. You know what I mean? But again, they could make somebody else in the world, another nation state that wants to see the two go at it, they could go in and make themselves look like the U.S., and I doubt it's that. It's probably the U.S. or CIA or something. They could make it look like somebody else is doing it and then hack in and start something that way. That's a worry that some have. Rest assured, Vlad will not leave aggressive actions unanswered, it said. All our steps will be measured, targeted in accordance with our legislation and international law. So, and remember, their law allows a whole lot more. In the last year, they have passed laws that basically they can respond in kind to basically anything, even if it's perceived. We covered some of the law. They just recently changed things because some of it meant that they had to have proof that somebody else attacked them. That's gone. There's a lot of weird changes. In fact, the changes that we follow here in the United States obviously point to some very ominous things, but the changes there point to a future with a WW3. I mean, it's pretty clear what all of these countries are doing with their governments. Look at Japan. Japan is making it so it can jump into a war. There's all South Korea, all of these countries that are kind of figureheads in this whole conflict. The statement issued by the ministry's head of international information security said Washington was, quote, deliberately lowering the threshold for the combat use of IT. Militarization of information space by the West and attempts to turn it into an arena of interstate confrontation have greatly increased the threat of a direct military clash with unpredictable consequences. Not good. So let's get Trinity on the phone, and she's going to talk about CERN, I believe, and other things. Do we have Trinity on the phone?
Yes, Adam. She's live.
Okay. Trinity?
Hello, Adam. This is Trinity Red or Blue Pill. Hi, Ho, Kermit the Frog here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hey, I'm going to do something real quick and see if I can do this live. I'm going to switch over to something so we can see if we can not get that garbly digital noise during the call. So hold on 1 second.
Okay. Of course.
We might get a little bit more feedback, but okay, try talking.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. All right.
Perfect. Well, first off, thank you for having me on the show, and I appreciate Dex, getting me in. I was trying to call, and I know there's lots of difficulties. This is not easy right now, and I appreciate what you do every night. It's a lot. So you do an amazing job. Thank you for everything you do.
No problem. So it sounds like you've been creating a lot lately, and you've got some awesome stuff in the works and already done. So let's go over it.
Right. Okay. Well, the first thing I want to talk about, since you were talking about or had Joseph Newhouse on, which was a great call, and same with back from Oz. Great callers. I thought I would go over, because it perked my interest when I heard about the headset from, are we able to say the R word, Rome? Can we say that?
I'm assuming, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. I will just say it once. Okay. So we know what we're talking about. Well, that area, I did a video, a couple of videos back when CERN started back up on its third run. And I thought that was interesting because 3 is also the number that Tesla uses for energy. And of course, with DARPA and CERN, that's why we have the internet. And I think it's very interesting what they're doing with these very large magnets. And when I was looking into that, Hadrian, the third emperor from back in the Greek mythology, and looking at Zeus methodology, I didn't realize that the Higgs boson was actually titled the Z Higgs boson for like little g God particle. And I found it very interesting that all those 3s are connecting, and then it's on the 33rd parallel line, and it's got the city of Neom that's going to be where Mount Sinai is. And if you look in that area in that direction, and that being a magnetic ley line, that tells you a lot. So that's fascinating all in itself. And those are my couple of videos back listed. I think it's titled, I don't know what my videos are titled, but they're like Zeus, and also had the planets in the sky were lined up. And people know also with Egypt, the pyramids, how they say it's lined up. So it was like Jupiter, Venus, Mars, Saturn, I believe, was all lined up. And then that was at the same time they were also bringing up Zeus's temple, which Hadrian III from back in that era was the architect. And a lot of people also believe not only did he architect those large columns, and now they're resurrecting that, which is very interesting. They also had the amphitheaters, and they're finding out a lot of things with water. We're made of water. Everything around our world is water, and that's what the next thing I really want to get into. So that's a lot that I just told you right in itself. But I've got a couple videos on those, a few like probably 6 videos back on my channel. But what really I found interesting lately is that in Singapore, or everywhere on Twitter and in other places, I can't say the names of these places, but where there's some conflict going on, there's been a lot of reports of red sky. And when I saw that about Singapore, it said it was the red skies, which was all over the place. And I didn't do a video on it. I was going to, and I am in the works of doing this one on water because it's a big thing. They said it was from fishing boats. And I thought, aha, that's very interesting because that made sense. But then I started seeing where everybody's talking about these red skies all over the world lately. And there's called with the Hopi Prophecy, the red shift and the blue shift. And a lot of people may not realize it, but the Vatican just did, they offered a olive branch, an apology to the indigenous people, apologizing for things that they had done. And now it's really best that they do retribution and actually correct things more than just an apology. But I thought that was pretty fascinating all in itself. So going back into now the red skies, red shift or blue shift in the Hopi Prophecy in the red skies, I found it very interesting that back in TED Talks a long time ago, this Eddie Whiter in 2013, she was smart enough to realize that if she really wanted to get these deep sea monsters, which we haven't explored the oceans, they keep us looking above because they don't really want us looking below because there's deep underground marine bases and military bases. And there's a lot that goes into that. And I used to be a scuba diver. So when I was a scuba diver and I could see how I could create light at the bottom of the ocean in a deep night dive where it's pitch black, how I could wave my hands and create stars into the water at the 120 feet depth, I believe I was at when I was diving. It really had an aha moment for me. And so they always say, oceans above and below. And people are saying, there's these electric, eels and things like that and lightning in the sky. I know this seems crazy, but NASA just sent a bunch of squids from Hawaii, the Hawaii Observatory, into space. And why I'm connecting these dots, which I find very interesting, is that in that TED Talk, she talked about how she used a very non-intrusive way to bring out these large eels and these massive eels. And there's also the octopus that is also in Lake Balkan. And I can't say certain things on here, but things that were drilled down in the ice and things that happened with divers in that situation. But these squids were sent into space. And they used, back to the way they lured the eel from the depths of the ocean, being non-intrusive, they knew that the massive red jellyfish that they feed on, when they are going to be ate by, say, an eel or whatever the predator is, they'll start flashing red. So she used this red light, like a big flashing, and the reason why the jellyfish would do this flashing red light would be so that another predator would come and eat that, eat the prey instead of eating that jellyfish. It's its last way of escaping. And so these red skies, and then sending these squids, NASA sends squids to space, June 23rd, 2021, to these bobtail squids. And what in the world are they doing? So it says dozens of baby squid from Hawaii have been sent to space from a study. And the baby Hawaiian bobtail squid were raised at the University of Hawaii's Kilo Marine Laboratory and were blasted into space this month on SpaceX resupply mission to the International Space Station. And I was connecting, I'm doing a video right now, connecting all the water. And there's in Groom Lake or Area 51, there's they call it the Devil's Pit, and they don't even know how the depth of the water is on that. And I believe everything is connected with submarines. And now they're saying that these unidentified flying objects that they're seeing everywhere are coming out of water. A lot of missing people. It's always around water. If you watch any of Dave Pilates, he always says Pilates out, and what he's been doing is Skinwalker Ranch. And then you think about CERN's third run coming up, and it's going right now, these very large magnets. And it's not just in Geneva, Switzerland, because the deep underground neutrino experiments are underneath the gold mine in South Dakota that goes to Chicago. And all of these labs, if you look on a map, you can see where these are all connected, along with Dulce Base, just all these bases, and even the things like what Phil Schneider, all these whistleblowers had said. So I guess that's basically what I'm kind of saying, is that there's a lot going on underneath our feet as much as there is above. And sound, CERN, I caught a part of it with the technology. They're really wanting to silence everything because they want things to get quieter. And I think it's very interesting that they're saying that. And now you can see a lot of things that are, I can't really say it without, I don't want to say anything wrong, but it is very interesting on what they're doing and the sounds that people are hearing and these unidentified flying objects. And now I just did a video today about this thing outside the zoo in Amarillo, Texas, that they're trying to figure out. And it's really interesting if you're following any of this, but it's not just following the money, it's following the water and the depth of the water, the submarines, and if this technology is being used and shooting out of the water, which Admiral Byrd talked about in Operation High Jump. And then there's also the fishbowl thing that they tried doing. I found this all to be very, very fascinating. What do you think?
Well, I mean, think about it. How much do we know about space compared to how much do we know about underwater? We know less about the bottom of the sea than we do about above us. So I think that, even somebody mentioned, Nessie. Well, if you think about it, Ness, and look at the animals that survived now, look at the previous events they said happened, like the flood. A lot of animals survived the flood that were in the water. It's with Nessie, if Loch Ness or a dinosaur like that lived in the very bottom of the sea, it would be way more than possible that it could have survived through any flood or pole shift and was way, way, way down there, and eventually, every once in a while came up. There's elusive animals that they keep discovering in the Amazon that, every year they're discovering new species. So I don't think it's impossible for that or for anything as far as underwater. Water is something that as humans, we can't go down there and we can't breathe in it. So it's just almost impossible, especially with the pressure and everything else. You have to have a submarine to do it. And how many people are really going down? Right. And there's a lot that goes in. I don't want to get too deep on that, but have you heard about NEOM, or have you looked up the 33rd parallel line and what's going on over there? That's a very fascinating thing. And it has a lot to do with nanohertz frequency and gravitational waves. And since observatory being closed down and what's going on in the sky with that, and what I'll notice everywhere is X's everywhere. The X flares, there's X's everywhere. If you start paying attention, there's X's everywhere. And then the Z particle for the Higgs boson and Zeus, and that being uncovered, and in the area that it is, with the firing up of the magnets or large magnets of CERN, that NEOM is supposed to be this large smart city. And it's really crazy. They're also calling it the line. I think there's a lot going on, and it's fascinating. There's a lot going on. The skies tell us a lot, and I wish we could really. I was watching a thing on the oceans today, and this person went down into the Mayans, and they actually went all the way into the sand looking for because they've actually I did a document on them releasing wormholes and portals and things like that. So there are documents out there, and I am very careful about how I put that out.
but there's a lot going on.
Well, as always, and a few people are asking, they still find it hard to find your channel. The link is always on the website, and anyone that's been here knows that they can find the link to the callers right under caller info. As far as I even pulled up the
I'll put
other
it in
backup.
chat.
But yeah, she can put it in chat. She is one of our mods. Again, thank you for everybody that already went over and subscribed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I appreciate it. I had a lot going on with my health and losing my father, and now what my stepmother's going through with Lewy body dementia. Every day I have to relive my dad's either not, he's on a car ride or he's car crash or his funeral's tomorrow, and so I'm having to relive like this horrible thing every day. So when I'm not in here, if I'm trying my hardest. I've got a website that I started, TrinityRedOakBluePill.com. It's, I told Dex I need some help on that. He said he would help me on that too. But I am trying really hard to at least get out some small videos every day, try to go live when I can. I got a telescope that I'm working on to do better moon. I did get a really great lunar eclipse. Last lunar eclipse was fascinating. It was amazing. I got that on video. And I'm just so grateful for you letting me be your mod and be on your show tonight. And just understanding that I'm doing the best I can with my own health and surgeries. And I just had a surgery I'm recovering from, and I'll be having another one. So I send love to everybody. No fear, absolutely no fear. And just realize that there's so many amazing things going on. And we need to unify, know our sovereignty, and there is a realm that they can't touch. And that's where our sovereignty lies. And if we unify and get to know our neighbors and love one another, we really can be the difference.
Well, thank you so much, Trinity. It's always a pleasure, and I am praying for you always. And I know you've had a rough year, and as many of us have. And I'm just, we're always here for you. And thank you so much. And love talking to you again. Again, we've got to talk more offline. All right.
I would love that. Yes, I hope your wife's eye is better and that your health is better. I've been saying lots of loving prayers, and I always say humongous hugs, high fives, and good vibes. So I'm always thinking about you and send love to everyone.
High five and good vibes. Well, thank you and love you, and we will we will talk to you next time. Bye,
love
Trinity.
You. Thank you.
And Trinity's link is on the website, or it will be within the next 5 minutes. If you're watching the replay, it is guaranteed there. You will just look for this thumbnail on the website, marfooglenews.com, and you'll be able to easily find her channel. Hopefully, she can hit 5,000 subscribers today. In fact, again, sometimes calls are harder to hear. I tried to fix it so she didn't garble out. But look, she already hit it. Another 100 people went over, so that's awesome. 5.05. Everybody congratulate Trinity on 5,000 subscribers. That is an awesome milestone. Halfway to 10,000, even 1,000 is just a huge milestone of people. So it's really cool. Pam Ridley, thank you, says prayers to the callers. Alfred K. Phillips, thank you for the people that are polite. And remember, if somebody new is here, and we didn't see much of it there, but again, like LCJC said, you can post your opinion without calling people names. You can always share your opinion as long as it's polite. Again, people say, "Oh, free speech." Just want to point out, I own this channel, and it's like you going into somebody's house and saying, "You're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot." Are you going to let that person sit in your house and put their feet up on your table and call you an idiot? No. You can go out to the sidewalk and scream at me all you want. That's free speech. But if you go in somebody else's house, that's a different story. And that's what this is. This isn't a public forum. This is, every YouTube creator that you go into, they are the owner of that space. So again, just remember that. Like all I ask is that you are polite to other creators on YouTube. You are polite to each other. That's it. If you have a creative way to put a negative opinion about someone's views, If it's polite, it goes. So, but yeah, other than that though, you never know what people are going through. So make sure that if new people come in and they're rude, just try to say, hey, this is how it works here. Tell them, hey, you can do this, but you got to be polite about it. Nobody's going to hate on you for coming in and being angry. Everybody is kicking the cat right now. And by kicking the cat, I mean, everybody's got stuff going on in real life after the last 3 years. Almost everybody has had a rough time. So when they come in and they are being rude, half the time it's because this is an anonymous thing. They're on their keyboard and they can take something out on somebody else or call somebody else stupid. But just realize, like, they haven't been here long enough to understand that we don't need to do that. If you do want to do that, then this probably isn't the best place. If somebody thinks, this and this and that, just remember, you're here voluntarily. You're here to see us. We're not chasing you down and making you watch our content. If you don't like the content, don't stick around. That's for dang sure. But also be polite to people. Everybody's got something going on. And then also be polite to the I guess, AKA trolls, because a lot of people that have been here for 4 years, I don't want to name you out, but there's a couple that were trolls at one point, but they are here and, we're good. I don't hold a grudge. I forgive really easily and I forgive many times. So just remember, people can be a jerk today and tomorrow they can be your best friend. In fact, I always point out that some of your best friends in the entire world, you might have hated them at first, or before you knew them, you hated their guts. And then for some reason, fate put you together, or you had to go on a field trip with them or something, and you ended up being best friends. So that happens a lot. And we all have our little negative downsides to us. So, but again, who knows how much time we have on this earth left? We're staring down death every day. Like, let's have a positive space and push each other up. Trust me, once you start pushing people up and just constantly just trying to make it a thing, none of us are perfect, but if you try, it will make your life a lot better. Don't focus on the negative aspects, even if you're talking about something negative. Focus on the positive of what that is. And what solution is there to fix it? Dex, the overflow content, lots of crazy stuff.
Yes, there is. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, and scroll down to that overflow or web-only content. It's a yellow bar. Everything down there, the rest of the story, what we couldn't cover, what we didn't get time to, lots going on. There's a big event that was on every single major network tonight, except for one. It wasn't on Fox. You can find out at least what they were saying beforehand. You'll probably find out tomorrow, the summaries of everything that was going on. The administration or our current prez was on late night TV. So there are lots of commentary about that, as well as another journey up the steps. Plenty of other things going on. Another billionaire in his Hawaiian island. There's a thing that is very natural for couples to do that actually can help a man live longer. So there's a good excuse for you guys to go talk to your wives and plenty of more, all there, including updates on Elon and a person who was, I guess, abducted 40 years ago, found today when they figured out that person's actually alive. So that and so much more is available in Overflow. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on that thumbnail for the show, scroll down till you see that yellow bar. Or if you're on YouTube, open the description. It's the show notes link. It's right there, easy to get to. And then right below is all the caller information. So including Trinity's link and everything else. So easy enough.
And the website, of course, is updated live, so I'll just refresh. As you'll see, caller info is down there with videos, with tweets, Twitters, anything that is appropriate is down there. So make sure to go check it out and go subscribe to all of our friends. Thank you, everybody that popped in, especially folks like Bible Talk 777. This is when I was a teenager. I did. Oh, tarot cards is another thing I will not do. Won't even watch it on TikTok. I swipe past it if I end up on that downtrodden platform. reading and again, I hope that people understand, like, this, it doesn't matter what your personal views of all of the stuff that's going on right now. I want to make sure that everybody can come in and at least find something that they like here, and that people are not rude to each other, that they let other people live how they want to live. If you choose to live your life a certain way, that's up to you. It's not anyone else's place to fix you. We're all adults. We can consume the information together. When I was a teenager, I did a tarot card reading on a guy and said it would die soon, and he drowned the next day. It has always made me feel guilty. God bless fam. Stay clear of such things. Yeah, I've personally never done it, and I almost sat down at a place and I didn't realize what was happening. It was at a festival, and my girlfriend at the time wanted me to sit down and do a reading of our relationship. And once they had it, I said, no. But again, maybe, there are a few things that, because of the way I grew up, I am sort of closed-minded about and won't touch. And nobody can really change that about me. So that is a bad thing, right? I guess in some ways it's not, in some ways it's good. But there are certain things I just will not touch. I've done some dumb stuff in life, would never touch that board. Carol McLean, thank you for your support. That Gen X dude. Stephen McMahon, thank you. Says, again, thank you. And then Trinity, thank you again. Everybody that was on tonight. Be Real Beast, thank you so much. And remember, go over to the website, marfooglenews.com. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Dex, thank you for your service tonight. Appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.
Politics we decide. Mama, I want off this ride. All they wanna do is divide. They want us to pick a side. All I want is a humankind. Why do the children have to fight? All of the politics we decide. Mama, I want off this ride. All they wanna do is divide. They want us to pick a side. All I want is a humankind. Want off this ride. All they wanna do is divide. They want us to pick a side. All I want is a humankind. Why do the children have to fight? All of the politics Virginia, Olsen, the Allen V. A Ball 1 and Carol McLean. Shastine and Alfred K. Phyllis. Derek Tarot and Mom's Mushrooms. Jody Foster and the WIS agenda in the island by the sea. Major CK of Red DT. Angel Webster and a big fish cake. Tia cleans a lot and the heart. Emojis and the 20 easily part of all of the love that he needs in the blender. Young deluxe, a young and what? A young deluxe, a young deluxe, a young deluxe, a young deluxe, 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 young deluxe, a young deluxe. Hope still with the LCJC family, DMW, Jackie, WIS, BNZ, on fire with an FIRE and the Jack B, a 19D, Island Mighty C in the Doodle, Kim Davis and the Poco Loco, Skipper down that north.